So yeah, I manage our national partnerships and our grant dollars and things like that, and I do most of the reporting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I actually like that kind of work. I like working with numbers. They make sense to me for some reason.
That's good. I love numbers too. I love statistics.
Yeah, I like statistics too. I wish I had taken more of that. That was something that I'd never had any trouble with.
We're going mics off. We're going to go mics off. We'll be live in about 10 seconds. Weather report from the WSIC Weather Center.
Purple Heart Homes presents Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Gallina and Brad Borders.
You're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We're a 501c3 that is dedicated to addressing the critical housing needs of veterans. And we don't have Brad Borders with us today. We got John Gallina and Paul Cochran.
I'm going to tell you, you must feel like you're in great company today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Two Marines in the studio?
Marine.
A second bald Marine. Oh, well,
I didn't
you
even
said it, not me.
consider that.
You said
Wow.
We got the lock.
Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh. You're surrounded.
I am surrounded. Two Marines, and I'm surrounded and just never know exactly what to do. But when you got to call in reinforcements, you call in the best, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that you acknowledge that we're the best. That's hey, we're gonna timestamp that and save that for a clip for later. Just making sure.
Well, you know that's.
Well, notice I didn't say when you're outnumbered and being overrun, you don't call in the Marines.
Oh, wow. Well, you know the army joke is that Devin and I went to the recruiter, and the army recruiter said, "Hey, you guys ready to be all you can be?" And we thought about it and said, "Yes, we are." So we went next door and joined the Marines.
Oh, you're choking me up. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
That is almost literally what happened to me.
Yeah. So right now, for those that are wondering, Brad is over at Veterans Treatment Court. We called Sheriff Campbell, had him picked up and escorted over. I mean, he's over there mentoring at Veterans Treatment Court. It's first day of court.
First day of court. It's been a long time coming, but it's the first day of court. Brad's over there taking care of some people.
It has been a long time coming. Been working on bringing Veterans Treatment Court to Iredell County for a little over a year now, and a lot of great support. It's taken support from everybody from the sheriff to our county commissioners to the county district attorney, a local judge, and just dozens of volunteers, other nonprofit partners that have stepped up, and just really want to give a shout out to everybody that's been a part and made that happen. It's going to be great for our community. I know there's a number of veterans already in the program, and they are seeking to better their lives and do so while paying restitution, but at the same time being able to get through the process with some understanding and just how their service does matter, and to know that they can move forward and continue to be a positive and productive member of their community.
That's right. And I guess, as it shouldn't be, we're one of a handful in the state of North Carolina. I think there are only 6 others in the state of North Carolina, so we'd like to see this expand.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Speaking of expanding, we got I'm gonna tell you, an ever-growing network of phenomenal guests that are joining us today, and you know, you think about all the people from folks from Alaska to Texas to New York and Washington and all across North Carolina, Georgia that have joined us. We got some great guests from right here in North Carolina, calling from your alma mater there, Paul.
Beautiful Boone, North Carolina, and Appalachian State University.
Now don't get too excited. You're not allowed to leave to go to Boone anytime soon.
I don't know. It'd be an easy sell.
Yeah, well, we're not selling nothing today, so put your wallet up. Nobody can buy Paul. Mandy, if you're listening, we're not selling Paul. He's going to stay right here.
I hope Mandy's not listening. I did not tell her I would be on the radio show.
All right, let's see what kind of secrets we can tell today.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So we have a special guest with us today, Dr. Ann. I'm gonna do my best to pronounce her name right and say it correctly. Fanatico. I hope I said that right, and Dr. Lynn Gibbard, and they are from Frontline to Farm at App State University and have a phenomenal organization where they're doing some really great work to support veterans. So we're really excited. So thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
And so tell us a little bit about yourselves, and if you would go first and share a little bit about your background, how you're connected to the military, and what's led you to want to get involved in supporting veterans.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. I'm not a veteran. I was not in the service, and it's an opportunity for me to thank all of you that were. Thank you so much, or many of you that still are. Thank you for your service. I'm a daughter of a veteran of the Korean War. My father was in the Korean War, and also daughter-in-law. My father-in-law was in Vietnam. So I'm really excited to have the opportunity to thank veterans for what they've done for us. I did grow up in a town with a Shaw Air Force Base in Sumter, South Carolina. But I've been working here at Appalachian State for the past 13 years. And my area is actually poultry production. My PhD is in poultry science. So that's my area of research. But I'm also really excited about the opportunity to do outreach with the community, and particularly with veterans.
That's
Very
great.
good. So, Lynn Gibbard, we understand that you were in the service. Your husband was in the service. Please tell us a little bit about you.
So I was in the service. I grew up in Western Massachusetts, a family of 8 children. We were subsistence farming, gardens, rabbits, chickens, horses, those kinds of things. I knew that I did not want to stay in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and joined the Army on the delayed entry program when I was just 17. So I went into basic just after my 18th birthday. I went to Fort Dix, and then I went to Fort Eustis. I was a 61 Bravo watercraft operator, and then I got stationed at Fort Story working on LAC B-30s, and then I went over to working on LARCs with the reserves, and I got out. I had gone into watercraft because as a kid I wanted to be a marine biologist, and that didn't happen because I couldn't pass chemistry. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, here I am at App State after having done a whole lot of things, just about every job known to mankind, from being a nanny to managing different businesses, working with nonprofits, having my own consulting business in communication. And, I like to think that a lot of the lessons I learned in the Army about being organized, keeping on task, pushing through when things get tough, those help me to be successful in what I do. I have been, like Ann, we've both been here at App for 13 years. I'm in the Department of Communication. I have a PhD from the University of Miami, Florida, not the other one, in communication. And just most of my research is in intercultural communication and strategic communication, and most of my practice is in that too. I got interested in helping veterans here at App with work that we did. We started the university system started military affairs committees on all of the campuses, and I was honored and privileged to be asked to start that off here for Appalachian, and it's still going strong. Lots of great stuff came out of it, lots of great services for our student veterans. But then in talking to Ann, became interested in working with farmer veterans. I had worked at the University of Vermont with rural farmers in various capacities, doing research and outreach, etc. And so it was just a really great fit. I mentioned the Military Affairs Committee because it's done a whole lot for our student veterans on campus.
Ann, we're going to just stop you right there, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Frontline to Farm with Ann and Lynn. You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together.
Putting the pieces Back Together with John.
All right, we're live on Facebook, right?
Yep.
All right.
Live
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Sorry about cutting you off there. I didn't.
This is Lynn, Devin.
I'm so sorry. I was.
Oh, that's all right. You can tell I'm the communication person, not the farmer, because I just yak.
I've been accused of doing that myself a couple of times, so don't you worry.
He has been accused of doing that a couple of times.
I think there's a certain charm in that. So, yeah, I never even got to talk about poor Bob, my husband.
Oh, we're gonna get to Bob. Don't worry.
He's in 20 years.
Yeah, we're gonna get to Bob. While time does go very fast on the radio, it seems like it goes twice as fast as it does just in a normal day. We go through an hour in what feels like 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it just slides right by.
It does. You know, Lynn, you said something there at the end. You're a PhD or master's, I think, from the University of Miami in Florida.
Yeah.
So you probably well remember 2016 at the Rock when Miami came up and really did some damage to the Mountaineers.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a Sebastian bobblehead that some of my students gave me, and I kind of hid it away for a while. It wasn't the most popular decoration.
I bet.
That's awesome. Yeah, we went over to the Tennessee game just about a month prior to that.
Nice.
Played Tennessee. It was a really good football game, and then we went to the Battle of Bristol at the next, Virginia Tech and Tennessee, and then I was peopled out and did not want to go to the Miami game up in Boone after that.
I don't blame you.
Now, it's my understanding that App State games, home games, are sold out for the year. Already sold out for the year. Is that right?
Yes, that's what I heard too. I see people. Of course, I'm active on a bunch of Facebook pages with other app folks, and I see people trying to get tickets quite often. So I'm sure that's an indicator that they've been sold out for a little bit.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Devin will bring us back.
All right.
He likes looking at putting the pieces back together.
I do like looking at it.
We're gonna see if we can trip him up again today. It's better than thinking about it, though. At least your eyes are focused on the right place.
Hey, yeah, it's. I'm not so sure that they are, but
10 seconds.
If you ladies hadn't figured it out, I like picking on Marines.
oh my god,
That's all right.
it's his favorite
does.
pastime. What's
Yeah,
that?
he does.
Yeah.
You know, he
We're
had
built
to
for it,
hire.
though.
Yeah, we absolutely are, and he hired us specifically so he could, pick on them without him
But
getting assaulted.
I do feed him a lot of crayons.
I think I brought some with me today. If
We got
if you're
10
interested.
seconds. We're going to go mics off.
Putting the pieces back together continues now. Here are your hosts, John Gallina and Brad Borders on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Hey, you're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Gallina and Paul Cockrum today. And we've been talking to Frontline to Farm, and we're going to get back into that. Paul, you want to?
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about Frontline to Farm. Well, you know what? Let me back up. So, Lynn, we want to give you an opportunity to address your husband's time in service there. You said you missed that, so we want to start back with that. Then we'll go into what Frontline to Farm is.
So I'm really proud of my husband. He spent 20 years in the Army. He started off as enlisted up in Alaska, got out, went to school at Michigan State, decided he missed the military, missed the Army, went into ROTC, got out, and went back into the Army as an officer and spent the rest of his 20 years serving as an officer. He's an airborne ranger. And just an amazing man. I'm really proud. I had brought up the MAC, and one of the greatest things the MAC ever did was introduce me to my husband.
Oh, that's really cool.
That is.
You know, one of the oddest things I've ever encountered was that love met in the Marine Corps. And that we have a veteran couple that we served a number of years back, and they were both in the Marines. They were both in Iraq together. They met in Iraq, where they both got a Purple Heart, and then they came home, and that's when we were able to support them. And I've always found that interesting, how many couples meet in the service. and they come out, they're married, and they seem to have an ability to understand and communicate in a little bit different way than most couples, and I always find that really interesting. That's really really neat story, Lynn.
I think
Well,
they're
one
both.
of the cool things, I mean, I met Bob well after he had retired, but one of the cool things, we're going to start talking about Frontline to Farm. And one of the really cool things about Frontline to Farm is that it brings veterans together who are farming. And I think that Ann would agree that one of the comments that we hear most frequently, whether it's just anecdotal as we're talking to some of the participants or in evaluations, is that they really enjoy doing this work with other veterans, that they reconnect with those veterans, that they're, anyone who's been in the military, been around people in the military, there are those shortcuts that we have to connecting. And so that's one of the greatest things that Frontline to Farm does, I think.
Looking in from the outside, I would say, I'm not a veteran, and it just amazes me, the camaraderie. So, it's really fun to watch that work and watch communities form.
I think it's something therapeutic about working with your hands, working in the dirt, working with animals that are dependent on you, being able to see the fruit of your labor, so to speak. And when you're able to do that with common interests with other people, I mean, it's amazing how that can turn your thoughts to from negative and depression to positive and optimistic, and that's really great. And we've had a lot of other charities on the show, and certainly talked about some similar things. Personally, this is very interesting to me in the sense that Iredell County is a big ag county, and North Carolina, just as a whole, as a state, agriculture is extremely important to our economy, and so lots of interest here. And when you can intersect those interests with veterans, which is near and dear to my heart, it's something that I want to learn more about. And so tell us a little bit about how you came to found Frontline, and what brought the two of you together, and kind of what was the synergy behind this idea, and how is it, one more part to that, how does it intersect with App State directly? I mean, it's not just a charity, but it's an integral part of the college, right, or the university.
We're part of App State. We're in the College of Fine and Applied Arts, both of our departments. Lynn's in the Department of Communications, and I'm in the Department of Sustainable Development. And, we can talk more about our goals at some point, but we do want to tell y'all, how we got started. We do try to connect veterans, with the land and with communities, because we too believe it's healing to be part of the land, to work with the land, and also be supported by communities that need food. We all need food. And what's interesting is that we need farmers. We just don't have as many farmers in the U.S. now, so we definitely need farmers. But the way we got started was, there are people that have worked with farmer veterans. I would say over the past 15 years, I've really seen a lot of growth. My field is agriculture, it's farming, and I've just seen that growth in the past 15 years. As I mentioned, I've got my PhD in Arkansas, at the University of Arkansas. And Arkansas was just beginning to work in farmer veteran programs. They had funding from USDA, the Beginning Farmer and Rancher Development Program, and had done just some really great development with helping people learn about how to do pastured poultry, helping people learn about farming as a business. Another project was called Beefing Up, that really looked closely at raising cattle. So we also work with the National Center for Appropriate Technology. I would say that's something that's really special about our program and about Boone too. We call our area the high country because we're at high elevation. We just have great interaction with North Carolina Cooperative Extension. And of course, we're based at App State. Also, many very effective nonprofit organizations. So I had, I think I met Lynn through some common partners that we work with, and I was ready. We wanted to expand this work to North Carolina. We've done this work has been done in Arkansas. It's also been done Missouri with agroforestry, but it's work that applies all throughout, not just the South. It applies all throughout the country. So we really see our program as a national program. I mean, we are more centered here, like I say, in the western part of North Carolina, in southern Appalachia, where we see even more overlap with some of the qualities of veterans and farmers. Southern Appalachia, we see a lot of resilience and resourcefulness. So I realized a lot of the work had gone on with this farming program without being, having as many people in the leadership that were military veterans. So I was really thrilled to talk to Lynn about it. And, Lynn, has so much experience growing up too with food production that it was just a good match.
So,
And,
Lynn, tell us what year did y'all get started? When did you actually start the effort?
I think we started the effort around 2019 was when we started talking, right, Ann?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and then we wrote the grant and then got funded for 2020.
And tell us, we got about 4 minutes here before we go to our next break. Tell us a story about a veteran that stands out that's participated in the program. Is there anybody that particularly just stands out?
I think, Lynn, if you might have some other folks in mind, but I have always enjoyed working with Corey Brick. He is a full-time farmer here in the high country. He's a little bit down the mountain in Lenore. And, Corey was actually a sustainable development graduate. And it's just, he's, it's really been interesting to watch his farm grow over time. And he's also been the beneficiary of having some interns, work with him. That's one thing that our program tries to help in terms of education, that people can have customized internships. But Corey's really become more of what we'll call a consultant, that he works more of a consulting way with us now. Is that what you were thinking, Lynn, or did you have other people in mind? Well,
I think we have we've had 2 in-person trainings and we've had quite a few people go through those trainings. One of the most recent trainings we have a dynamo from the Boone community, Taz Kim, who went through the training, and Taz is involved with a lot of different nonprofits that support veterans, but she is very interested in gardening and homesteading, and so she has learned a great deal from her time with Frontline to Farm. And one of the best things that I think have come out of this is that a lot of our Frontline to Farm alumni keep in touch with each other. And so it's that community of veterans who farm and just helping each other. The funny thing is that I have no problem telling you I failed miserably at chemistry. And one of the interesting things that I've seen as a communication person is just how willing our farmer veterans are to be open with each other about what they did that didn't work. And oftentimes that's a huge benefit for someone who's just going into farming. So those are some of the things that I think have come out that have been really beneficial.
So you mean there's more to farming than planting a seed and just putting a little bit of water on it?
You can ask my husband about his $30 tomato.
$30 tomato?
Well, I think I might have exaggerated a bit. I think maybe he calls them $20 tomatoes. But the idea that, there's just so many different factors that go into not just farming, but even just gardening and homesteading. And you get those seeds and you put them in, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. And, there's a lot that goes into it. We're really
Yeah,
excited.
we are super familiar with things not working out. Hey, you're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together. We'll be right back.
More putting
Hello?
Thank you for calling WSIC. Are you calling for putting the pieces back together?
Yeah, hey Joe, this is Hope. I've been having this idea about this for a long time, that if putting the pieces makes homes for people, can they not find those struggling farmers that's like the widow or the widower that's trying to save their farm that they've lived on all their lives, and have tiny home communities in those, kind of like what they're talking about. This is veterans wanting to be farmers. How about veterans saving farmers? I heard a recent statistic that the farmer suicide rate surpasses the veteran suicide rate. So my idea is getting on a track here. I'm not the best at producing the part of ideas. I'm the idea person. Can you run that by them? Can you run that by them for me?
Hey, Hope, John Gallina here, and thanks so much for calling in. And it's a fantastic idea. Certainly, already learned a little bit there. Never really looked at the farmer suicide rate specific, but I think your idea is fantastic, and we're always open to ways that we can support the overall community and the way that we can impact veterans and people's lives in a positive way, and certainly something we will look into.
And here's the other thing that can help. It's like someone like me, I'm a single female. I would love to maybe venture out and make a homestead for myself, but that's a little scary for me, right? But if I know that it's a deliberate thing, and then I'm going to pay some money to the farmer to have my spot without having to go trek all over the country to find an okay place to be. You see, there's a lot of help that can be had here. Homeless, everybody, and it's just like a win-win deal. So thank you for hearing me out. I didn't realize I was on before.
Yeah, no, and you're live with us here on the show on Facebook right now, and we love the ideas, and it truly is all about people helping people. And so if we can help one another out, we can make the world a better place.
And Hope, thanks for calling in, because we are always looking for ways to help other people, other veterans.
We normally don't get callers online. Paul, I'm going to say it's got to be because of you. Yeah. They're calling in because you're on the show with us.
Yeah, it's my hypnotic presence.
I think so. Usually the calls we get are, why is Sean Hannity not on anymore?
Being named Hope, I have to resist because I'm turning into this hope energy ball with all the hope that's being spoken about, and I'm trying to keep a proper boundary. But I have a 3-star general grandfather who helped us all be here. And I'm not a patriot. I'm just a darn happy to be grateful American. We're lucky to be here, and there's just so much that comes out of this station right now, and I'm so happy to hear it. And like I say, I got 2 sayings: left wing, right wing. It takes them both to fly this bird, and if you kill the middle, neither are going to work. And my one I put up on my mailbox today is, we all have the right to bear arms. Put on a tank top and have a nice day. So,
I love it. And we love our WSIC News Talk Now team. And Joe's telling us it's time to come back from break. So I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day.
Thanks for the call,
Oh,
Hope.
it's awesome. Thank you. You're making me excited because it's the track I'm hoping to see. Maybe we can fast forward it now. Thank you so much for all your service, gentlemen.
All right. That was interesting, ladies. Y'all sparked a caller.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We don't get too many calls in these days.
Well, and I like that idea, the whole thing about tiny homes on farms, and actually some of what we're doing and some of what we want to focus our next grant on is agritourism. And there's several farms around here in the high country that are getting more into agritourism. So that is definitely one way that farmers can, especially veteran farmers and farmer veterans, any farmers can do that.
I have got
Sometimes
the lady
they
to.
do glamping.
We got 10 seconds. We're gonna go mics off.
All right.
on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Back together with your hosts, John Gallina and Paul Cockrum. Hoorah!
Did you say oorah? Or hoorah?
I should have said just raw.
Just raw?
Just raw, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It was
Well-
the most musical oorah I have ever heard, I have to say.
Need to incorporate that into the repertoire from now on.
Musical oorah. We could do a oorah musical. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Well, for our listeners on the radio right now, they missed a fantastic caller. Hope just called in, and she shared a great idea with us in relation to our two guests talking about Frontline to Farm and how folks that may have farms that may want to provide some revenue back into their farm, into their home, can set up tiny houses to allow veterans to be able to have a safe place to call home and to be able to work on the farm. And in this conversation, kind of ensued into some of the other thoughts and ideas around farming, ag tourism. And so Lynn was just about to tell us a little bit about that and some of the work that they're doing. I know it's becoming a big thing here in Iredell County. And so, Lynn, share some of your thoughts about that and where you guys are leading with that.
Sure. So, there's first off, there's a difficulty getting farmland here. And it was funny that someone had said, I think it was Paul had said that Iredell County and North Carolina is very ag focused and lots of agriculture happening here, but North Carolina is losing its farms at a high rate compared to the national statistics. And one of the things that farmers can do to keep their land is to, instead of sectioning it off and selling it off, which we see happen a lot, is to do agritourism, where they have opportunities for people to come stay on the farm, maybe work on the farm, be able to see and make a connection between what they're eating and where it comes from, and maybe develop a little bit of awareness around what it is a farmer does. We talked about that $20 tomato and how it's not easy to just throw a seed in the ground and get something to grow, take it to the farmer's market and sell it. And so this is another source of income for them, but I think it's another way, for me at least, in the work that I do, it's another way for the community to connect with farmers and what farmers do, and to have real awareness around farm to table issues. Ann, did you want to add anything to that?
I think it definitely brings farmers and consumers together. That's, as we talked about, one thing that we've seen in farming is there's just not as many farmers as there used to be. Very few people are actually involved in production in agriculture. And then there is sometimes what we just call a gap, between producers, farmers, and consumers, that people just don't know that much about what farming is. So, farming that's community-based, local community farms, local food movement, this is a way to bring farmers and producers together. So I think the agritourism, to us, we have a focus in different parts of our projects. Like right now, we actually do focus on livestock. We focus quite a bit on livestock. If you look at our website, you'll see some modules on accessing land, getting access to land. You'll also see modules on animal health, and then we're building out some modules on basically what is free range pork production, free range
pork,
and tying it with agroforestry. So we're thinking, this is just an really important way to tell the public, tell people about animal production. Sometimes it's a way to bring the producers and consumers closer together.
So, Ann, tell me a little bit about what the experience, draw kind of a picture of what the experience with the program looks like, and then tell us a little bit about what the goals are of the program, what the end state might be, or what this looks like when it's up and running fully.
Well, it is a goal of increasing farmer success. Our flagship program is one from a grant from USDA, and it's the Beginning Farmer and Rancher Development Program, because there's so few farmers left. And we're in the mountains, and just our small, our mountainous terrain is we're still a real stronghold for small farms, in the western part of North Carolina. But we're extremely interested in farmer success. And that was another thing that, Hope, the caller, pointed out, is that sometimes it's, farming is not a success, or sometimes it's hard for veterans to transition to civilian life. So, I think Lynn has talked about too, sometimes the things that are difficult, that's of course where we learn the most. So we are trying to increase farmer success, and that includes economic. The economic part is really important to be able to grow food for community, but also be able to make a living. And then increase sustainability. I think that's another thing that we look at closely, is that we work in sustainable agriculture. And so that means protecting our environment while we produce food. And it also means social justice, making sure that all of us have access to healthy food. So those are our goals. And the way we do it is mainly it is with our partnerships, with North Carolina Cooperative Extension, with nonprofits like the National Center for Appropriate Technology, with folks at University of Arkansas and Missouri that have worked in this area for a long time. But our most important partners are the farmers we work with. And I do find it the most rewarding part too. And it's, where I learned the most. But we do it with partnerships. We do it with our online modules that we've talked about. We both work in education. We're teachers, so we do try to look at ways that people learn. Some people learn, by reading things on the internet. A lot of people learn, though, by hands-on training. So with our Frontline to Farm training, we make sure that we spend the entire afternoon on farms, and we go from, several different farms, and sometimes we help. We helped Corey Brick plant his corn this summer. We had about 20 veterans that I realized they were not going to leave until Corey's. He's a Marine, and they were not going to leave until his corn was planted. So we asked students to come in, help out here, because we had another obligation that we had to get to. But they were determined his corn was going to be planted.
They had a mission.
So we provide internships, and then we also provide network and supporting, making sure that veterans have the opportunity to support each other, learn from each other. Some of the sustainable ag conferences, they do have sessions just for veterans, and it's really exciting to see that when they have that connection of being veterans, and they also have the connection of being farmers.
That
and
is.
Frontline to Farm provides we have provided registration money for farmer veterans to go to some of those other conferences. And then I just wanted to add that that training we do in the summer is a 5-day training where we have now this year we had farmer veterans who were new, and we had alums from last year who came for an overnight. The people who came for a full week, they spend mornings with experts, some of them local, so all the way through national, talking about things like legal issues on farms and soil conservation and so many other things. And then in the afternoon, we set up farm tours with some of those farm partners that Ann was talking about, including Corey Brick and others, Shipley Beef Farms and so many others. And we take them out to the farms, and they get to learn from other farmers.
So interesting, and just we're coming up on a break here in just a moment, and just some thoughts that come to my mind. I'm going back to Hope, the caller, during our break, and this idea of how suicide plagues the farm community and that industry as well, and I can't help but think about farmers that I know and the challenges and struggles of financial management. When they're making an investment that they're counting on one paycheck maybe a year, or one paycheck maybe a season, and that paycheck is determined on so many different factors, from soil issues to weather issues to bugs and different types of infections that can get into different plants. That really it's a challenging and stressful career field, and what you guys are doing is just phenomenal work. And I look forward to hearing more both about your service and more about Frontline to Farm when we come back. So stay tuned. You're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, and we will be right back after this break.
There's more.
All right, we are going to go ahead and hear a word from Devil Dog Devin about our project of the week for Purple Heart Homes.
Devil Dog.
Hoorah!
I'm gonna start calling y'all a miniature rock band.
Oh God! 2 minutes to talk about the project of the week. That doesn't seem hardly enough when you consider how monumentous the work that Purple Heart Homes is doing out there. We have a veteran out there in the Atlanta area, Alvarez, that we just finished a project with, and we wouldn't have been able to do that without the partnerships that we have. We got together with Simplify for America Foundation, and Home Depot is a great grant partner, and also the local chapter put in about $10K. And that was pretty amazing. So all in all, this veteran had about a $30K need that, while we could address it all by ourselves as Purple Heart Homes, it's so much easier when the community comes together around a veteran.
We're stronger together.
Absolutely. His roof was collapsing, and unfortunately, this roof wasn't just a standard roof. It was a wraparound porch supported by the porch, and so most contractors didn't want to touch it. And he was looking for help everywhere. Purple Heart veteran, Marine, hoorah!
Hoorah.
Had 2 tours in Iraq, and he contacted Purple Heart Homes, just like a lot of veterans do, as a last resort, because no one wanted to touch this project because of the cost, because of the uniqueness of it, and because we were able to get those funding partners together, we were able to change and make a difference in this veteran's life. If you want to help out a veteran, go to phhusa.org. You can be a part of that. And hey, we talked about the Atlanta area. We're looking for new volunteers in that area, because while we still have plenty of funds dedicated to that chapter, those folks have had to medically retire out of doing that work. So we could use your help out there.
So if you got some friends, family in the area, or if you know some veterans, or if you're a part of an association, like whether it's Combat Vets Motorcycle Association, American Legion, you know some folks in that area that you think might be able to get involved or interested in getting involved, how about reaching out to us? You can connect with us on our website at phhusa.org, or you can always just Google Purple Heart Homes, and you'll be sure to find us. And then check out Facebook, which I imagine you're listening to right now, or you can contact us through Instagram or many of the other social media channels.
Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
Call now to speak with John Gallina and Brad Borders at 704-873-1400. It's Putting the Pieces Back Together on WSIC.
All right, welcome back. If you have missed any part of our show, please check it out online. You can go back and re-listen to us on WSIC's Facebook page or Purple Heart Homes Facebook page. We are joined today by our special guest, Dr. Ann Fantico. I think I said that right again. If not, my apologies. And Dr. Lynn Gibbard, and they are from Frontline to Farm at App State, and they are sharing with us the work that they're doing to help veterans that are interested or in and a part of farming to be better supported and be able to hone in their craft. And so we got a few more questions that I know I'm certainly eager and interested to hear from. But we have talked about some of the goals, talked about how they got founded, talked about Lynn's service and her husband's service, and Ann's father. He was in Korea And so just a rich history there and learning more about the great work that they're doing. And so as we were just talking in this last segment, about some of the goals, I'm just interested, as you're a part of App State, you think about folks going to university, they're of all ages, kind of, what does that look like for this program? And are you looking at folks that are just interested in getting into farming, or folks that have been doing farming for 20 years? What does that look like?
Who are new to farming and who have been in farming for quite a while. Ann's area and sustainable agriculture, that's something that a lot of traditional farmers want to know more about, because it can help save them money, can help them with soil conservation, environmental impacts, and those things. Certainly being here at the university, we have active student veterans on campus. Some of them are involved in the project. I think, Ann, it'd be really nice to talk a little bit about that, about some of the students who've been involved.
Yeah, I would say it would be hard to run our program without students. It was not something that we anticipated, but just, realizing the talents, we're working with people in the very early part of their careers, and it's just, great that we get to work with them at this stage. Erin Smith is our communication specialist, and she really just does a great job with social media, and she's also at the same time being trained by Lynn, so she's learning at the same time.
And Second Story Media too.
Yes, the student-run media agency, Second Story Media, and one of our students. The student veterans are often some of our best students in our classes. And I got to know Nelson Gonzalez is a sustainable development student, and he's done some work with us. He's actually, App State does have a farm in Fleetwood. It's, a diversified farm with greenhouses, crops. Normally we have livestock on our pastures also. And we also have campus gardens. And Nelson's really gotten us excited about hydroponics because we like, showing how to farm, with lots of land, but it's also important to show how to farm and produce food when you don't have as much land, or maybe you don't even have access to land at all. So that is hydroponics, and it's biointensive production, and enough that Lynn and I have gotten interested in kind of victory garden concepts, victory over, challenges, victory over climate, that farmers have a lot of ability to save us with a lot of our climate issues, because you can store so much carbon in the ground, through carbon sequestration. So I would say it's just wonderful to work, within our departments and with students, and especially the student veterans.
So what in the near term does Frontline to Farm have coming up?
So we have Frontline to Farm. We've talked a good deal about the training that we're doing. So we have a training that we're working on for this summer. And anyone who wants to support that training, maybe adopt a farmer veteran and help us pay their way through that training, that would be amazing. But we have other projects. Ann mentioned the Victory Garden project. So we're looking at trying to create more gardens at App State and supporting some of the gardening and homesteading that goes on in the community, and encouraging that, just helping people to grow their own food. I think the pandemic really demonstrated to people that that's a good idea, and that having access to local farms and local produce can really save lives in a situation like that.
Lynn, we're going to pause you for 1 second. We got another caller calling in here for you. Stand by. All right, caller, you are listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together.
Yes, sir. How you doing, John and Devin? What is it y'all call it? Dog? Devin Dog?
Devin Dog. I like that.
Devin Dog.
That man, I love that man. That got a laugh to take the roof off. I ain't lying.
He does take our roof off of Purple Heart Homes all the time.
What I call to tell y'all, brother, brothers. The lady that I think it was the last one that got through talking. Her testimony was she said she flunked chemistry, and that was a closed door for the open door that she's doing now. So tell her the Lord bless her to do what she's doing now. I just want to just encourage her on that.
Lynn's on the line with us, and she can hear you. Lynn,
Yeah,
anything you'd like
thank
to
you
say?
so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Because a closed door is another open door opportunity, and we appreciate what y'all do. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you, sir. Have a blessed day.
Mr. Howard.
We're really hoping that
Thanks for the call,
Frontline to
sir.
Farm can do that for farmer veterans and for beginning farmers, that it can be that door opening when they think one is closing.
So what I hear you saying is we can take my black thumb that I hit with the hammer last week and we can turn it into a green thumb?
Well, you could do what I did and marry someone with a green thumb.
Oh, that sounds like a much simpler solution.
I got that black thumb problem too. I'm constantly bringing plants home from the office to get rescued, only to tragically have to come back to the office again.
Well, if people aren't good at growing things, sometimes they're good at composting things, and compost is just as important. And it builds carbon in our soils.
So, and I wanted to jump in and just say something. Ann had brought up hydroponics, and people talk about, hydroponics, and maybe it's not something that you can do. My husband, Bob, kind of MacGyvered one of those 50-gallon tubs into a hydroponic garden for basil. So we have basil all year long growing in a window in the house, and it's all grown hydroponically. And so those are some of the things that we want to pass on through that Victory Garden project that Frontline to Farm has, is that if you're growing in container gardens on your deck, even in your house, that people can reconnect to the food that they're putting in their bodies. You don't have to grow everything. I'm not going to start. We raised pigs when I was a kid, but I'm not raising a pig. Bob keeps talking about getting chickens, and I've had chickens.
I got to say, Lynn, I'm interested in these free-range pigs. I gotta figure that out.
Yeah, you got to talk to Ann about that. She'll tell you all about the free-range pigs.
I thought you had one. His name's Chappie, right?
Don't be talking about my bully.
So my mother grew up on a dairy farm. We had cows growing up. We had just game chickens. We had eggs and things like that. So not a bad thing to have access to. And as you said, I believe COVID really showed us that for us to be independent, self-sustaining to some degree anyway, is nothing but a good thing. So the show's going to be ending soon, so I want to ask one last question here. And how can folks get involved and support your mission?
So anyone can support our mission. You can give funds or in-kind donations. We have farmers who have needs, and we want to try to help meet those needs. We want to help meet the needs of people who want to come to the training. The training is free for the people who come, so we take on the cost of everything involved with the training. You can just go to, and I'm drawing a blank on her, it's frontlinetofarm.appstate.edu. That's right?
Yes.
So you can go right to our webpage. It'll tell you all kinds of stuff about us and our project and what we've done. And it has a donate button on there, and you can donate. It goes through Appalachian State, which is a nonprofit, so you can write those donations off. Every little bit helps. And I'm going to put in a plug here because there's a national organization called the Farmer Veteran Coalition, and we're lucky enough to have a North Carolina chapter, and I am the vice president of that chapter. We're going to be doing one-day trainings on October 13th here in the High Country. We'll have one. It's the Farmer Veteran Coalition of North Carolina's educational conference. We'll be doing training in the morning and farm visits in the afternoon, and that's on October 13th. They're going to be doing another one in the eastern part of the state, and that's on October 27th down in Fayetteville. And all you have to do is, everybody's probably watching on Facebook now, just hop onto Facebook and look up the North Carolina Farmer Veteran Coalition, and you'll find information on that training and how to register for that training. Be perfect for somebody like Hope.
Yeah, well, ladies, let me tell you thank you first before Paul closes us out here. Let me tell you thank you for your service, Lynn. Thank you for your family service, and thank you for what y'all are doing now for our veterans and for our country and our community, just helping to teach those that are feeding us.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time today. Look them up, folks. Get involved if you can. Support how you can. You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together by Purple Heart Homes.
The new.
All right, ladies, thank you very, very much.